Oh, not again. What is all that noise?
You wake up. No, you didn't turn into a zombie overnight. Your alarm clock is a loud, wet, smacking sound from the kitchen. Dad decided to have an early breakfast. He's not making oatmeal. He's not frying eggs. He's eating breakfast he found in a dumpster behind the supermarket yesterday. And judging by the sounds, breakfast is still putting up a fight. You lie in bed and stare at the ceiling. No claw marks like werewolf families. No soot from hellfire like Satan's relatives. Just greasy stains and peeling plaster. Dad accidentally headbutted it while trying to remember how to walk upright. It's been 15 years since he died, and he still confuses doors with walls. You get up, go to the bathroom. Your reflection, fresh, rosy-cheeked, bright-eyed. No pallor, no rotten teeth, no urge to eat the neighbor's cat. You're an anomaly. You're a fitness junkie among the living dead. You run marathons, drink smoothies, and carry a protein bar everywhere. Your dad honestly doesn't even smell under his arms. He smells like an entire cemetery at once. You brush your teeth. Behind the door, Dad is trying to open the fridge. He forgot you have to pull the handle, and he's been pushing for 2 hours. You sigh. Just another morning in a family where the head of the household is a classic walking corpse.
Breakfast that makes you want to run. What's on the menu? Raw ground meat for him, oatmeal for you. And a conversation about healthy eating that only a zombie could have. Spoiler, cops are too stringy.
You walk into the kitchen. Dad stands in the middle of the room because chairs are too advanced. He's still wearing the same ragged jacket he had on the day of his funeral. You offered to buy a new one. He got offended, said it was vintage. On the table, about 3 pounds of raw ground meat. Dad eats it with his bare hands. You look at your bowl. Oatmeal with berries. You eat your oatmeal. Dad stares at you suspiciously. "You're eating that stuff again?" he asks, chewing something that crunches, you don't want to know what. Oatmeal is healthy. In my day, healthy was human brain, but yours special. You don't take offense. You've heard it 1,000 times. Dad died in the 80s, so his idea of nutrition is, don't eat cops, they're too stringy. Race day today, you say, finishing your smoothie. Dad looks out the window. The sun is rising. Modern zombies don't burst into flames anymore, but he still squints. Running is stupid. Why run when you can shamble and still catch up? You've never caught me, Dad. I wasn't trying. I'm an aesthete. You smile. That's your whole dynamic. You run, he rots. You're both happy.
School, where everyone knows the rumor. Imagine explaining to your biology teacher that your dad pays child support from beyond the grave. The weirdest part? It's actually legal.
You walk into school. Normal clothes, normal backpack, normal haircut. But everyone knows who your dad is because he sometimes shows up to parent-teacher night and forgets that his ear shouldn't fall off. Classmates side-eye you, but they're used to it. The new biology teacher once asked, "So, your dad, is he alive?" Technically, no, but he pays child support. Whole class laughed. Teacher blushed. Honestly, Dad doesn't have a job. He gets disability benefits for neurological issues. Sometimes you think it's fraud. Then you remember he's actually dead. Legally, it checks out. At recess, the school counselor pulls you aside. "Do you need help?" she asks. "Many kids from dysfunctional families." "My family is functional. Dad just eats pigeons and sometimes confuses the closet with the bathroom." Counselor sighs. She's been handling your file for years. You sit down at your desk. Next to you, a pale girl. You know she's scared of you, not because you're scary, because her dad is a monster hunter. You once suggested a family dinner. Her dad pulled out silver bullets. You said, "He's not a werewolf, he's just rotten." Her dad said, "I'm not taking chances." Dinner was canceled.
Your first conscious outrun. Every superhero has an origin story. Yours? A 7-year-old, a hungry zombie dad, and the most terrifying game of tag you'll ever hear about. You join the track team. Coach is thrilled. You have natural talent. You don't tell him your talent comes from years of training to run away from dad when he decides my leg looks edible. It happened when you were 7. You fell asleep on the couch.
Dad, following instinct, thought you were a tasty snack. He leaned over your hand, but then you opened your eyes. 5 seconds of eye contact. You screamed and bolted outside. Dad shuffled after you. You ran 3 blocks. He only stopped because his jaw fell off. From that day on, you understood the best defense is speed. You started running. Mornings, evenings, joined a club. By 9, you could do a half marathon. By 12, a full. Dad was proud. He didn't understand why, but he was proud. "You'll be the first zombie son to outrun himself," he once said. You looked at him. His left eye had drifted toward his nose. "Dad, I'm not a zombie." "We're all a little zombie, son. I'm just more." You didn't argue. Arguments in your family end the same way. Dad forgets what they were about and goes to chew the couch.
First love and the detached hand. Bringing a girlfriend home is always awkward, but when your dad's finger falls into the pie, Meet the Parents takes on a whole new meaning.
In high school, you fall in love. Her name is Mira. Perfect hair, perfect smile, perfect dad, a dentist. You don't tell her about your dad until the 3rd date. Then she accidentally comes over. Dad was trying to screw his detached wrist back on, sitting on the kitchen floor, holding the wrist with his teeth, furiously wrapping duct tape. Mira froze in the doorway. "That's your dad?" "Technically." "Is he okay?" "Not really. He's been dead for 20 years. Mira nodded slowly, then turned and left. You didn't blame her, but the next day she came back with a box of medical gloves. "I thought about it. If your dad can't take care of himself, someone should." Together, you re-taped Dad's hand. Now she comes over every week. Her dentist dad treats Dad's teeth. He doesn't enjoy working on dead enamel, but he said money doesn't smell. Dad got offended. "My money smells like dirt," he said. Your relationship with Mira grew stronger. She even stopped flinching when Dad accidentally pulls off his ear.
Chapter 6. The family dinner that went off the rails. You cleaned the pigeon remains, you hid the rogue jaw, but nothing could prepare you for what happened when your dad tried to superglue his hand back on.
Mira suggests a joint dinner. Her parents are normal. Dad's a dentist, mom's an accountant, they bake pies. Your dad eats raw offal. You prepare for days. Clean pigeon remains from the living room, hide the rogue jaw that has a life of its own, ask Dad not to fart at the table. He farts hydrogen sulfide. Unbearable. Evening comes. Mira's parents arrive with flowers. Dad opens the door. He forgot to put on a shirt. His gray, peeling skin glistens under the chandelier. "Hello," Dad says. His jaw slides sideways. Mira's mom smiles uncertainly. Mira's dad grips the pie box tighter. Dinner is interesting. Dad eats raw chicken with his hands. Juice drips down his chin. You try to talk about weather. Mira plays along. Suddenly, Dad's index finger falls off, into the pie. Silence. Mira's dad slowly pushes back from the table. Does that happen often?" he asks. "Not often," you lie. "Last week, half a foot fell off." Dad picks up the finger and tries to reattach it. It goes on crooked. He waves. The finger dangles at an unnatural angle. Dinner ends early. Mira's parents leave citing headaches. Mira stays. She laughs. "Your dad is the weirdest person I've ever met." "He's not a person, he's a corpse." "That's why I like you. Your family is non-standard." You watch a movie. Meanwhile, Dad tries to superglue his finger to his hand. It goes poorly. He accidentally glues it to the table. Now we have a table with a
Chapter
finger
7.
on it.
The race and the unlikely cheerleader. You're running a marathon. He's wearing an inflatable alien costume and a sign that says, "My son runs faster than a corpse." This is what peak support looks like.
You sign up for the city marathon a month in advance. Dad promises to come cheer. You ask him not to eat the spectators. He promises, but you're not convinced. Race day, sunny, warm, 1,500 runners. You're at the starting line. Then you see him. Dad stands behind the barrier. He's wearing a festival shirt, button grong, sunglasses to block the sun, and a sign, "My son runs faster than a corpse." A few spectators take photos. You cover your face. Start. You run. Lightness, then fatigue, then euphoria. At kilometer 30, you spot Dad on the shoulder. He's shuffling alongside, clumsy but determined. I'm running, too, he wheezes. His jaw wobbles. Dad, you're not in the race. I'm your personal cheerleader with integrated motivation system. He tries to speed up, trips, and twists his ankle. The ankle stays behind. Dad crawls away. You don't know whether to laugh or cry. You finish in the top 10. Dad finishes an hour later in a wheelchair borrowed from volunteers. At the awards ceremony, he yells, "That's my son. He ran faster than I've rotted." You take your certificate and medal. Dad asks for the medal for memory. You give it. He wears it over his ragged jacket for a week.
Chapter 8. The Generation Gap Zombie Style. He wants you to carry on the family business. Hint, it involves eating brains and terrifying mall-goers. You want to be a sports coach. Guess who wins?
One day, you try to talk about the future. You want to go to college to become a sports coach. Dad wants you to continue the family business. What family business, you ask? Begging for spare intestines? It's an honorable job, Dad huffs. We zombies have terrified people, eaten brains, taken over malls for centuries. Dad, that's a stereotype. You've never taken over a single mall. I didn't have time. I died. You argue. Dad says running is a waste of calories he doesn't have. You say his job is unsanitary and a bad example. Dad goes silent, hurt. He retreats to his coffin. Yes, he has a coffin. He sleeps in it, not a metaphor. You sit in the kitchen. Silence, only dripping from the fridge. Hopefully it's juice. An hour later, Dad emerges. He holds an old photo. Young, alive, normal skin, all limbs attached. You know, he says, I used to run, too, when I was human. You look at the photo. Dad in athletic gear, crossing some finish line. Why didn't you tell me? Because now I am what I am. I'm ashamed. I'm decomposing, son. You don't have to repeat my fate. Run. Run while you can. You hug him. He smells of earth and age, but there's something familiar in that smell.
Your first race in a costume, college scholarship, city marathon, and a dad who shows up dressed as a giant green caterpillar. The crowd laughs, you die inside, but somehow it works.
College accepts you on a scholarship. Dad promises to attend your first competition as a student. You ask him not to embarrass you. I'll be in disguise. What disguise? I bought a human costume. You have no idea what that means, but when you arrive at the stadium, you spot him. Dad is wearing a giant inflatable alien costume. He floats like a balloon. Only his bare, gray, toenail-less feet stick out the bottom. You sigh. Still better than a naked corpse in a shirt. You run. Dad tries to run beside him in his costume. He looks like a giant green caterpillar that forgot where it's going. The crowd laughs. Someone films. You hope it doesn't go viral. I'm proud of you, Dad yells from inside the costume, muffled but sincere. You finish 5th. Dad finishes 150th because he got stuck at a turn. 2 volunteers pull him out. He smiles, or at least tries. His lower jaw has shifted sideways. You're the best, son. You too, Dad. Even dead. You hug. Volunteers snap photos. It becomes the most popular meme in sports forums.
11. Life goes on. Well, not goes on, but you get it. 20 years old, a girlfriend who doesn't flinch, and a dad who still confuses the TV with the wall. Sometimes family isn't about biology, it's about who shows up, even if they're falling apart.
You're 20 now, studying to be a coach, running marathons, dating Mira. Dad still rots in the living room, occasionally losing appendages. You've gotten used to it. You don't notice the smell anymore. You learned to cook soup without him trying to bite your finger off. You've made the household work. Sometimes you wonder,
what if he hadn't died? What if he'd been a normal dad, working an office job, making bad jokes, grilling burgers? Would you still run? Probably, but not as much, not as fast, not as desperately. You run because he once wanted to catch you and couldn't. Now you run for both of you. Dad lies on the couch, watching TV or thinking he's watching. The screen has been off for hours, but he's still staring. "Dad," you say, "I won again." He turns. His left eye points at the wall, his right at the ceiling. He smiles. "I knew it, son. I believed in you, even dead." You sit next to him. Mira brings tea. Dad sniffs the steam and says, "This reminds me of life." He still doesn't know what tea is. To him, any hot liquid is soup of strange smells. The three of you sit together, alive and not quite. But it doesn't matter. What matters is you're together. Family isn't biology. It's not DNA. It's looking at a decaying dude in a ragged jacket and thinking, "I'd follow him into hell," then remembering he's already from there. Well, happy birthday, Dad. Now here's the question for you, viewer. Would you rather have a normal dad who forgets your birthday or a dead one who remembers it even without a brain? Drop a comment and subscribe if you want to know what it's like to be Cthulhu's son. At least, there's no smell, just existential dread.